Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for a webinar, Unlocking Insights. Is your data working hard enough for you? My name is Lara Lima, and I'm part of the marketing team here at StackAdapt. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to the presenters to get us started.
All right, yeah, thank you, Laura. My name is John, and yeah, let's get started. Thanks for joining us. You know, marketing is a very fast and ever-changing complex space in this day and age. So we're super happy to have you here. And at the end of the day, we hope you will be empowered to be more productive and efficient in your marketing efforts. So a little bit about StackAdapt. We are a performance-based demand-side platform. What we are is we're built on AI and machine learning. We're multi-channel across all devices, inventory, and media channels. And we've been consistently ranked #1 on G2, which is kind of the Yelp for tech, helping marketers and advertisers globally. So my name is John Phillips. I am an account executive here at StackAdapt. I work closely with clients, helping them maximize their investment in this ever-changing, fast-paced, moving world of marketing. And my associate here is Nick.
Yes, hi, thanks, John. And welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Nick Ashuris. I am a programmatic media analyst here at StackAdapt. So I work closely with our client services team, such as account executives like John, as well as our account managers. My day-to-day involves drawing a lot of data-driven insights from our platform data, as well as third-party resources, and we consolidate that to help our brands with successfully executing campaign strategies. And yeah, very excited to be discussing data and measurement with you here today.
All right, so we have an action-packed agenda for you here today. You know, Nick and I each bring to the table a little bit of expertise, so we're going to kind of pass it back and forth and share our different expertise in certain touch points. But first of all, we're going to talk about the essentials. So what is data-driven marketing? How to apply a strategy around data, leveraging technology that will help you make smarter decisions, how to measure success, the tools that actually StackAdapt has built into the platform that make it super easy and intuitive for you to gather these insights. And then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A.
Excellent. And I'll be taking our first section here, where we're going to discuss the essentials of data-driven marketing. In this section, we'll cover several key pillars of data-driven marketing. We'll talk about some of the aspects of data-driven marketing that are deemed very valuable by marketers across the globe. And then we'll finish off this section with a discussion around data attribution, its significance, and what its future looks like. So we have this quote, "No more guesswork in the digital age." And as we all know, data has increasingly become more and more accessible, especially in the marketing and advertising space. We're able to use data to our advantage in a way to better understand our customers, as well as create relevant and engaging content for them. And of course, data involves a lot of numbers. As an analyst, I should know. It involves so much more than that. Data leaves so much room for creativity and effective decision-making if used effectively. And being able to know how to examine your data and use it to your advantage often means success, where those who can ask themselves the question, what is your data really telling you? Those are the ones who are going to succeed. All right, so at a glance, what is data-driven marketing? Well, written here, it's a strategy that involves using large amounts of data to obtain actionable insights to inform and improve marketing efforts. And really the main goal here is, of course, to increase the marketing department's productivity, but also using data to improve our customers' experience with our brand. And with data-driven marketing, we have 3 core pillars. The first of which is reaching the right people. And within this pillar, we're asking ourselves questions like, who's engaging with our brand? What's the best way to reach our target audience? And the focus for this pillar can revolve around creative messaging. It can revolve around a discussion on what are the most effective channels to leverage, and what types of devices or browsers might our target audience be using that we can leverage. Our second pillar is improving overall performance. So how is it we're able to reach our goals across every stage of the funnel, as well as our overall goals as a brand. And using that data, how can we decide where to allocate and boost our investment? For a retailer, that would mean obviously most likely, how do we drive consumers towards a purchase? And then our final pillar would be increasing efficiency, asking ourselves the questions, where is it we can cut down on costs, and how is it we can reach our goals as efficiently as possible? While we want to, of course, reach the right people and improve our performance gradually over time and making optimizations, we want to do so in a way that's cost efficient. And being able to marry these three pillars together is that sweet spot of data-driven marketing. All right, so in this slide, we're going to just review many of the key areas of data-driven marketing that are deemed very useful according to marketers. And there's a bunch of them listed out here, all of them very important when it comes to data-driven marketing. I'm just going to be discussing a couple of them here. The first of which is omni-channel marketing, which involves unlocking more touch points for marketers, and we're running more channels, and we're able to increase our reach with our users, and they have potential to interact with us at more points, and that can lead to stronger results and a more fleshed out marketing funnel. With another area is forecasting our results. So using our data to predict performance over a given period of time, whether that be the next week, the next month, or the next quarter. Data is incredibly powerful for that. With paid advertising as well, digital ad efforts like paid search, like programmatic, those tools help to give marketers a real-time glimpse into their results and a real-time look at how their ad dollars are doing. And then further up, we have personalization, where we're able to tailor our ads and speak to audiences in a way that's resonating with our brand and based on what we're seeing with the data. And from there, we're able to personalize our messages and make optimizations for that for those audience groups. And at the very top, we have the customer experience or the customer journey mapping, which was deemed the most valuable area in data-driven marketing, and for good reason. It's crucial when it comes to data-driven marketing, because being able to understand where and at what point users are engaging with your brand, at what area of the funnel, or what the best touch points are, is important, and it informs our marketing strategy. It allows us to understand our marketing funnel from top to bottom more fundamentally. And those businesses that are leveraging any of these areas, frankly, and all of them together, they're going to see a greater return on investment versus those who don't and aren't paying attention to the data that they have. And next off, I'm going to pass it off to John, who's going to discuss the different ways in which we analyze the importance of every marketing touch point through attribution models.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to look at attribution model types. So there's two that we're going to discuss right here on this slide, which is a single touch attribution and a multiple touch attribution. So single touch attribution just gives that last or first touch point the 100% of the credit. With the multiple touch attribution model, which we believe is a more holistic view of the customer journey, you're going to give some credit to each touch point, right? So you can do it in varying ways of like a time delay, meaning giving less credit as the first touch point and more credit towards the last touch point. Linear, meaning equal credit is spread across every campaign touch point. Or position-based, meaning this first time they saw your brand, they're engaged, and then you're moving them down the sales funnel, and then finally the conversion last touch point. So let's look now at a example of a last touch point attribution model. You can see here, it's quite obvious that, people engage with our brands in many ways, and that's what all this is about today, is like, how do we take that data in, how do we analyze it, how do we make smarter decisions? So each touch point doesn't have to necessarily even be an ad, right? It can be they visited your website, they Googled you and found you organically, could be any sort of variable ways. But as long as it's measurable, we want to take that data in and utilize that data to really understand the customer journey from brand exposure to conversion, right? Now, the ease of use on a single touch attribution would be that's super easy to track, right? You can get it in real time, it's fast, it's simple, but it gives a lot of credit to those touch points at the end, which could be like paid search, retargeting, that sort of thing, that really doesn't tell the whole story. So I'll pass it back to Nick. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, John. Yeah, so in this slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the important pieces to touch on when it comes to the future of attribution. There are several listed on this slide. I'm just going to talk about a handful of them here. The first of which is an increased emphasis on first-party data. Third-party cookies have been in decline and are continuing to decline, and advertisers and publishers alike are leaning much more heavily on a first-party data solution, where, of course, this data is being collected by consumers or from consumers with their consent. It offers very rich insights into their preferences and behaviors, so it's very accurate, and it's while still remaining privacy compliant. So it's definitely a pertinent solution in the future of attribution. Next to talk about would be the adoption of machine learning and AI, and we'll talk a bit more about this later on, but these tools can play a huge role when it comes to going through massive amounts of data and identifying patterns and predicting outcomes, even providing deeper insights into the consumer journey. And then further along, multi-touch attribution advancements. So a lot of what John has just talked about with attribution, we want to consider the impact of multiple touch points along that consumer journey. And with time, these multi-touch attributions, or MTAs, are going to only become more and more sophisticated, and will likely eventually be able to incorporate more of that offline real-world interactions with what is happening online, providing a much more holistic view of our marketing funnel. And lastly, the cross-device and cross-channel measurement. Consumers are using many different devices and engaging with brands and various media channels in different ways. And our attribution solutions need to be developed in a way to help seamlessly integrate data across all of these touch points. And again, this holistic approach helps to ensure a unified view of the consumer journey despite this fragmented use of media consumption. So it's a very important consideration for the future. And I'll kick it back to John, who's going to be discussing applying a data-driven strategy.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, appreciate that. So let's look at the unified view of our customer, right? As we just mentioned, there's so many touch points. There's so many different ways that people are interacting with brands these days. It's super important that now you have it across different platforms, maybe even different parts of your sales organization or your corporate communications, that you're interacting with your customers to create that unified view, gather all that data, create that profile of who your customer is, okay? Now there's several companies out there that can help you do that, but really it's establishing that customer profile through every touch point as possible to create that unified view. And then what we're going to do with that unified view in the next slide, Nick, is we're going to now be able to apply a data-driven strategy. So we have the customer profile, we have a few things that we already know, and that establishes a baseline. So getting all your corporate communications, everybody on that same page of like, hey, this is where we're at. Now let's look at what gaps do we have? What do we still need to know? Let's find some strategies to fix that. We're going to look at website analytics is super important. You know, what's converting, what landing pages are working. Have we tried different ones, that sort of thing. Then we'll move to a hypothesis. Okay, so hypothesis, now we're going to go into the testing mode, and we're going to set up reports around what we want to track. Okay, we're going to gather some data with that tracking, and then we're going to verify those hypotheses, and it could be with things like A/B testing, brand lift. You're going to be on different channels, different audiences, really kind of getting a strong idea of what you've learned, and then share those learnings, of course, through different aspects and different channels, and making sure all the key players in your organization and different departments are in line with what you've learned, then you can optimize, right? So optimize, apply those learnings, and then restart again. This is a never-ending kind of loop that you're going to want to be on as you optimize and then start a new baseline and then keep going from there. So next, let's kind of break down a little bit of a B2B buying journey. What does that look like? We have business to consumer and business to business buying journeys that StackAdapt is really involved with and that I'm really involved with on a day in, day out basis. So the first would be the B2B. And of course, with awareness, you're going to identify your ideal customer profile or your ICP. Now you can do that through several ways. Of course, you're going to already know, who is in your marketing area. Maybe it's looking at firmographics, seniority level, that sort of thing, and then applying that. StackAdapt actually has an ABM tool built into the platform that my clients utilize that help them with this awareness process and starting that top of funnel. And then some of the touch points that might be in awareness could be native display, could be blog content, could be video, infographics, that sort of thing. And then as they move down into consideration, now you're going to be, okay, what problems am I solving for this particular client? What are their problems, right? How are they engaging with us? Do we know what message? And you can use dynamic ads to serve them. White paper downloads, they may join a webinar like we're doing today. Sales might become involved. And then going down to the how do they get to that decision? Could be things like retargeting ads, case studies. Of course, sales could be involved in a B2B situation. And then finally on loyalty. And now you're building, again, that unified customer profile. Again, now you have all this data about who your clients are. That CRM data and first party data is super, super important because those can really be used internally to tell that story of like, hey, who are we missing? Do we even are our campaigns even targeted directly to our right customer? And that sort of thing. So after you may gain some really good insights using AI and machine technology that will give you that. And then with the next slide, we'll talk about the B2C buying journey. Now, B2C buying has completely changed. Obviously, a lot of it's online. So everything with your website, those are your key performance indicators that you're going to have to look at. You have to really make sure you're tracking everything as legally as possible on your website to make sure those customers are actually, or what you'll learn about those customers, right? So knowing their profile, serving them creative ads, serving them dynamic ads based on those personas that you know about your customer will bring them down that sales funnel. And then loyalty-based things, anytime you interact with almost any brand nowadays, you're going to get a survey, right? So it's that data that they're gathering that helps them be smarter on knowing who their customer is and how to better communicate with them, right? All right, so next, these are just, kind of a few examples of how to leverage these things. First, you can obviously you got to identify your personas, create a customer journeys based on historical data. And then you can look at things like seasonality, time of year. For example, Mother's Day, by the way, is May 12th. Everybody make sure you mark your calendars, get mom flowers. I'm already getting hit up by people, from people I sent flowers to my mom with last year. So right, that's a perfect example of like how these strategies are used. You have to know timing. Now, Mother's Day is an easy one, but you may have product launches, you may have other things that can trigger these activations that will help you, and then learn from those. Other things to think about are where they're spending time. Where are your clients spending time? Are they on TikTok? Are they on games? Are they binge watching CTV? I mean, where are they at? I mean, they're on media somewhere, so let's find them. Let's know what they're doing, and then let's create things around that to effectively reach them. So next, let's look at the funnel. This is the sales funnel. Hopefully you've all seen this. I love to see a sales funnel because everybody looks at the bottom of the funnel, but you know what? Without the top of the funnel, there is no funnel. So you actually have to have a strategy on each of these touch points, and we can break this down onto what channels work best into which part of the sales funnel. So top of it, awareness. Things that we do here at StackAdapt are look at things like display, video. You know, video content, super important. CTV is exploding. You can really tell your story. You can do it with native video. Native video is literally like a long form video that you can embed in a website. And we're going to look at impressions. We're going to look at reach, right? We know we have a really good idea. This is our target audience. We want to blast that out. As they move down, our message may change, right? Now we're going to look at consideration. What are they interacting with? Do we know anything about what they're wanting to know more information on? And then be able to use things like paid social, native, that sort of thing to re-interact with this potential client. And we're going to look at clicks. We're going to look at click-through rate, that sort of thing. And then finally, at the end, in the decision process, we already know they're engaged. Okay, so what are our ads that will bring them back into engagement with our brand? And that will be like paid search, retargeting, and website optimizations to help them pop up when they're looking to buy. And then we might look at KPI on that, which would be cost per acquisition at the end there. Next, I will throw it back to Nick, and he'll talk about leveraging some technology for us.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. In this section, we'll talk about NLP and AI for data insights, and we're going to talk about some examples of how those technologies have been adapted today for data insights, as well as for specific marketing challenges. And then we'll even talk about what's StackAdapt doing with these tools now in order to help our teams be more efficient and effective, but more importantly, how to better the results of our clients and improve their performance. All right. On this slide, we have a couple of examples in how NLP and AI are being used for data insights today. First example would be text and customer voice analysis, where we can use natural language processing now to extract certain themes or sentiments and patterns within large data sets of text. And we can use this to do things like analyze social media conversations or product reviews, maybe other user-generated content, in order to understand sentiment towards a brand or a product. And this is information that can be used to not only create specific creative messaging, but inform potential pain points or concerns with a brand, and even highlight positive feedback. Another use of these tools in this trade is innovative content and enriched data. An example would be content generation, where you can use AI to help create diverse content ideas based on existing user engagement data that a brand collects, or even on topics that are trending worldwide. There's also forecasting and deriving insights as another use for these tools, where we can conduct predictive analysis and use AI to help predict trends over time or customer behaviors, as well as identify potential market shifts. All of these things that might inform or force us to change our strategies based on what we're seeing from these AI tools. And with the deriving insights piece, you can use AI to help zip through data sets or reports and summarize key findings. And what that does for us is make decision making much faster, and we can put that off on AI, and potentially that those tools can identify something that the human eye that we couldn't, and that's very powerful. And lastly is streamlining data processes, where essentially data cleaning, where we can use AI to help identify and correct any inconsistencies in data. And this can involve removing maybe duplicate data or spell checking or format corrections in your data. All of these potentials with the goal of ensuring the highest quality data. All right, so now let's talk about a couple of examples of how marketing challenges can be addressed and how AI can be used. And I'll talk about a few of them on this slide. The first of which, personalization. If we have an e-commerce brand, for instance, they might be using AI to help analyze their shoppers' shopping behaviors or their preferences for highly targeted product recommendations. And brands, or an e-commerce brand, can continuously update this AI model in a way to make sure that those recommendations are relevant and timely and fresh by fueling it with new customer data over time. We also have customer journey optimization. That's obviously a big challenge, and we talked about that a lot already. Brands can use AI to help identify potential friction points in the customer journey, and with the ultimate goal, of course, with ensuring that the user experience is as smooth as possible. And again, there might be something that an AI model might be able to detect that the human element may not have been able to do. And by brands being able to map out their customer touch points, then we can use the AI to help analyze those and basically stage any insights for improvements there. And then the last one I'll talk about here is performance analysis. Specifically, and they can use AI to help dissect their own campaign data, whether that be, and mainly with the purpose of identifying any attributes in your campaign that might be performing well, such as creative messaging or specific channels that are resonating or not, who knows. And with that, it's very important too, because what you're doing is you're pairing the AI insights with the human creativity, the human element to iterate on our campaigns. And that involves essentially blending data-driven strategies with those innovative concepts of AI. And that's a huge step for us going forward. And to end this section off, I'll just talk about some of the ways in which StackAdapt is using AI today. And there are a few tools listed here, starting with lookalike audiences, which is a tool that uses AI to help find those users who are very similar to an existing audience. And what this does is improve our targeting and also expand it, where we can improve on our best performing audiences by leveraging lookalikes, and that's huge. Another one is page context AI, where this tool helps to understand the context of the pages where our ads are being displayed. And we do this or it can be done by putting in context and out of context phrases so that our patented algorithm is going to essentially determine the best ad places based on a publisher's site contents. And it's a cookieless option too. It's a very future-proof solution for marketing. We also have performance-based budget allocation, which is an AI-driven tool that helps to allocate your budget in the name, of course, but based on your performance of different aspects of your campaign. So perhaps there's specific creative messaging or certain channels that you're running that are actually performing really well, and the AI model is going to know that and inject more spend. So it can allow for a bit more hands-off, and of course that's using data to ensure that the best performance is achievable. And then the last tool is the browsing audiences, which uses AI to analyze browsing behavior and build audiences who are more likely to engage with your ads. And all of these tools together are, again, enhanced or used to enhance campaign performance, optimize that return on our ad spend, and all with the goal of, and as well as targeting the right audience. So that ties back, to those data-driven marketing pillars that we discussed earlier. And each of these tools together, they're part of StackAdapt's commitment to being a leader in AI-driven programmatic advertising. All right, so in this next section, we're going to talk measuring success, where, of course, every business defines success in different ways. For a retailer, that likely means driving purchases, but for another brand, that might mean driving brand awareness. In this section, we'll talk about some of the KPIs as well as basic and advanced reporting availability with StackAdapt, as well as some of our measurement solutions, and all of which can be used to help, that we do use to help our businesses and our clients. On this slide, we have a sample of metrics to measure success. This is by no means exhaustive, but they are certainly very pertinent metrics to measure your success. So we have cost per 15-second engagement, as well as website traffic and time on site. And I lump these together because, of course, we care about our ad efforts, but what's also very important is that post-click engagement. And we want to make sure that our landing page or wherever we're driving to through our advertising is set up in a way that users aren't bouncing immediately. And cost per 15-second engagement, one that tells us how efficient we are brands or are users staying on the site or are they not? And then with time on site, we want to see, again, are they bouncing off or not? And this is a perfect gauge or a perfect metric for that. With return on ad spend, of course, we want to understand what we're getting out with what we're getting with the dollars that we put in. And we want to maximize that to the best we can. With cost per action, an action, it can be a purchase, it can be a form submission, it could be a download, it can be anything. It's a desired action. So, of course, and tying back again to that improve efficiency pillar of data-driven marketing, we want to make sure this cost per action is as low as we can get it while still achieving a desirable outcome. And of course, we have click-through rate, where we want to make sure that the contents of our ad are relevant to our target audience and that the messaging of those ads is relevant and that they're clicking through, and from there we can gauge how our creative is performing. And then viewability, where this is especially important metric for non-clickable inventory like CTV or formats like outstream and in-stream videos. So we want to measure whether an ad has actually been seen by a user. And at StackAdapt, our viewability solution is powered by Moat, and StackAdapt takes it seriously. We want to make sure that every impression counts. So this is increasingly becoming a more relevant metric. Now, let's discuss reporting with StackAdapt. We've talked a bit about some of the important KPIs, but let's talk now about the reporting capabilities in our platform. On the right, we have a list of always available reports, which allow us and allow brands to dig into data in very meaningful ways. I'm going to talk a bit about just a few of these, and I'll start with the delivery report, which is used. We can examine performance across different cadences over time. So we can look at campaign or campaign groups by week or by month or by day or even by quarter, depending on how much data you have. With our inventory reports, we can analyze what devices or what channels, even operating systems, do we see very strong performance in our ad efforts. With audience reporting, we can dig into how our retargeting or third-party or lookalike audiences are doing. And we can even layer in demographic information. So we can look at their data by gender or potentially by age as well. And another important one is our personal report, which allows our brands to build their own reporting templates, and they can analyze performance in a way that's tailored to their needs. So that's just an example or a few examples of our basic reports in the platform. And I'll talk a bit about our advanced reports here. So the first of which is revenue attribution or passback information analytics, where we're able to connect customer interactions to a set passback value. If we take a retail brand, for instance, and we're measuring purchases, we can collect information on not only the revenue of that purchase, but what products were in that basket, what was the quantity of that basket, and we can see like what are the most frequently purchased items, and we can really dig into that lower funnel or that conversion point and identify any changes or potential strategies moving forward. With conversion journey analytics, this can help to understand what devices or what touch points or tactics ultimately aided in a conversion. And another point, like how long it might have taken from that first impression to that conversion. Do we see a pattern there? with reach and frequency reporting, especially important for upper funnel tactics or those brands that are focused on maximizing brand awareness. How many unique users are we reaching in a given time range? So in the last 7 days or in the last 30 days, how many people are we reaching? And finally, ad effectiveness, which is an advanced report which helps to provide insights into how StackAdapt ads are contributing towards your KPIs. And this can help with informing decisions for future campaign strategies. And next, so in addition to the basic and advanced reporting options I just covered, we have a number of in-house solutions here at StackAdapt. The first of which is brand lift studies. So this allows us, this measurement solution gives us the ability to measure the impact of our ad efforts, and we can measure factors like brand awareness or ad recall, even brand affinity. And this is done by essentially comparing the results of our ad efforts between two people. So those who have been exposed to our ads and those who haven't, and determining if there's a lift. And what this does is really inform brands on their upper funnel, their current upper funnel campaign strategies, as well as inform, do we need to improve some of our brand awareness? And a brand lift solution is an incredibly powerful solution for that specifically. With creative incrementality, this is a solution that allows for demonstrating, improving the effectiveness of your ads. And it works very similarly to brand lift. So with the ultimate goal of identifying more fine-tunedly identifying what creative messaging is working. Next, we have foot traffic, which helps to measure in-store foot traffic after being exposed to a StackAdapt campaign. And it's a solution that can help with answering the question, are online advertising efforts with StackAdapt specifically, how are those helping to drive those offline store visits? And this is a solution that brands can use alongside their multi-channel campaigns in order to better gauge and understand their return on investment. We also have the first-party data solution, or first-party data attribution solution, pardon me, which lets brands leverage their CRM data in a way to track and attribute offline and online conversions to StackAdapt campaigns. And this can be, you can target any audience segment on StackAdapt's platform and measure it against CRM conversions. And we've talked about the importance of first-party data earlier already. This is data that is built on deterministic and persistent identifiers. It's given by our users. It's very reliable, very accurate, and it's a cookieless solution. So very, very important for our future with third-party cookies in decline. And then our last solution here, which John had talked about earlier, is our ABM solution, or account-based marketing solution, which is a highly effective solution for those B2B marketers. And you can, again, just to reiterate what John had talked about, you can target attributes such as accounts list or companies of a certain size or companies within a specific industry, pardon me. And yeah, all of these are very effective solutions that StackAdapt continually updates over time and iterates on. All right, now let's talk about a reporting example. If we have a B2C online business, what does reporting with StackAdapt look like there? It can involve a few things. It can involve conversion journey analysis, where we're analyzing how long it takes from that initial impression towards a purchase or a conversion. And we can understand how the different touch points are leading towards a conversion and where we might be able to optimize that. And we can also, we might also involve identifying revenue insights like multi-currency revenue reports or understanding the average order value. We can identify what geos are generating the most revenue. This could be as broad as state level, it could be as granular as county level. And we can dig more into revenue over time or dig into seasonality and what trends do we see with our revenue attainment. And then finally, of course, if we're a B2C online business, we want to uncover product insights. So which of our products that we're advertising, which ones are driving the most engagements, or which ones are we seeing most often in our checkout process, and most frequently in our checkout process. Excellent. So yeah, I'll cap off this measuring success section with a few campaign reporting best practices, which tie together a lot of what we've discussed so far. The first of which is establishing a reporting framework. So creating and saving a reporting template makes it really convenient to quickly gauge your campaign's performances or progress, and while still monitoring your KPIs. And this is part of the personal report that's available with StackAdapt that I covered earlier. And you can have different frameworks for different stakeholders or for different needs. Establishing a reporting cadence is another best practice, where you want to determine how often you're going to examine or figure out or look at your campaign's performance. And typically a good rule of thumb here is the shorter the campaign, the more frequently you should be checking on it. And mid-campaign reporting is another best practice, where, of course, we want to continually review how our KPIs are pacing or our budgets are pacing, and we're using the insights as we go to make changes and optimize, which brings us to our final best practice for campaign reporting, which is interpreting the data and optimizing. So we're adjusting our campaigns on the fly and toggling specific attributes, whether we're using some of the advanced tools in our platform or changing budgets, whatever it might be. Essentially, all of this to drive, we're continually changing to optimize and bring about the best performance before the end of a campaign. And I'm going to kick it back to John, who's going to talk about data-driven tools at StackAdapt.
So yeah, audience insights, super important. So all those tools that we've discussed earlier will help you analyze a lot of stuff. First of all, you're going to be able to compare your audience target to the general audience. What have you learned? Insights such as location, reach, frequency, age groups, genders, that sort of thing. And then run them on multiple campaigns using things like tracking pixels. I mentioned tracking a lot, improving your ads to increase engagement with your audience. And then lastly is, our easy to use customized dashboard. So this is more about StackAdapt, but with anything that you do here at the end, you want to make sure that all of your data is compiled in one thing. And StackAdapt, as I mentioned, makes it super easy to export data into any of your systems that might help you use these numbers to create better insights on your audience. And then the next one, and this is the slide I've been waiting for it to be, this is my favorite. Okay, StackAdapt forecasting tool. So with any marketing campaign, it's super important. We're like, I know we can do our best guess estimate, right? We can say, okay, what have we learned? Where are we at? Can we predict this campaign will scale? Now that's a lot of good stuff. However, things change so fast. So StackAdapt allows you to go in and plug in everything, right? So you can plug in your geo, your channels, your budget. Will it scale? What's the reach and frequency? If I add a channel, what does that do? So you can predict with our forecasting tool in platform that will help you really get a great idea to know how your campaign is going to scale. You may already have a good idea, but this almost will confirm, right? We almost are saying like, yes, given the budget, given the geos, given your audience, this is the scale. It will reach its, and of course your run dates, all that thing. Will it scale? So don't build the airplane as it's flying. So I implore most of my clients, they use this. I use this all the time. It's my favorite thing. I can't say enough about it. It's the forecasting tool at StackAdapt. All right, so 12:48. We're almost there, guys. Thank you for holding on. I really appreciate the time. We really appreciate the interest. We appreciate some of the questions that have been rolling in, the engagement that we've seen. It's been overwhelming, so thank you for that. So I just want to really recap, okay? So if there's any takeaways that I can share with you today, is that first of all, last touch attribution doesn't show the full picture. It's really necessary that you use everything that you can to crunch every touch point, whether it be paid or not, to know the journey of the customer, right? And then measuring, clearly identify that success. With strong measurement infrastructure in place, you can make smarter decisions. And then, of course, lastly, leverage technology, which is what data is. It'll help you with decision making, identifying insights, and of course, measuring results. And lastly, I'll just give you an idea of how we do that here at StackAdapt. Okay, so talking about data, these are some big numbers that have the billions. You know, when you talk about billions, that's a lot of data, but we can use, this is how we were built. We were built on all this technology. So it's not just our third party or external. We have so much data that we use day in and day out that helps our machines get smarter and work better and harder for our clients. And that is what makes us, I believe, the difference. And now we're on a global scale. So, you know, things are continuing to show us results for our clients. And now I think we're about done, Laura. I don't know if you're still there. I want to check back in with you.
I'm still here. Thanks, John. And thank you both for this amazing presentation. Now it's time to jump into the Q&A portion
Laura?
of the webinar.
How can we use
take it away.
StackAdapt to optimize our ad spend without sacrificing reach and any specific tools or features? Yeah, well, we have frequency caps, we have the forecasting tool, we have a lot of different other options there as well.
Okay, I'll move to another question that we have, which is, how real-time are your analytics? Can they provide immediate insights during a campaign, or is there a delay? And this is a good question. We talked a lot about how with data-driven marketing, one of the key areas is getting real-time results. And with our platform, so we have, as I talked about, we have the delivery report, like in our basic reports, and we have those other ones like audience or inventory. Those ones, and typically with our delivery reports, which again, just to reiterate, those are looking at our campaigns or campaign group performance over time. So in the last, like by day or by week, by month, things of that nature. Typically that takes up to 3 hours to refresh in our platform. And then those non-delivery reports, like the aforementioned audience or inventory reports, they may take a bit longer in the day, to maybe somewhere between 3 to 6 hours. And these are reports that typically, they involve a lot more attributes, like where we can layer on much more data, like domains or audiences. And because of that, it can take a bit more time to populate in our platform, but it is still possible to, like if you start a campaign early in the day, you'll be able to see results later in that same day in the platform.
Thank you again for joining us today. Hope you found this insightful. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, just reach out directly to us and we'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody.